I feel like a lot of people around me these days, including even myself, are feeling like the lack of drive or focus to really do much of anything. And I think there's a lot of reasons as to why that is. Don't be ashamed to raise your hand if you're losing focus, because there's definitely a pattern going on here, and I don't think it's that simple to say it's like one reason. You know, is it a lack of drive, purpose, something else perhaps? I think it's really a combination of multiple things, at least with how I look at it. Because from my perspective, I feel like in the last year, when it comes to doing sometimes even the most simple of tasks, I could find myself procrastinating, or rather, even my mind focusing elsewhere. And even on the job, too, I just find myself, or rather, my mind, rather, wandering and thinking about other things going on in my life, or even just the most mundane things, like just, when I get home, what am I going to do? Am I going to just put up my feet, relax, make myself a nice, well, it's starting to warm up, so I can't say hot chocolate, but, just put my feet up and just, I don't know, give myself a nice iced cold drink. So it's, there you go, now it's starting to warm up a bit now. But I think really the biggest one that sticks out to me the most when I think about this is I've just noticed that I can be sometimes really apathetic to things around me, and I guess it kind of internalizes and becomes selfishness. As some people would say, oh, you're not thinking about others, you're only thinking about yourself. Well, it's kind of easy when you live alone. I don't have any kids to come home or take care of, or, a wife to come home to. It's just me. Or even a pet for that matter, now that I think about it. It's just me, me, me. But even then, I find myself kind of procrastinating and sitting around and not wanting to do things. Even like playing a video game, because I'm still doing that Skyrim playthrough, and I've been kind of getting into the Stalker modding scene again. But even then, I find myself just not wanting to focus or hone in on those kind of games, or just even those kind of activities that I like doing rather. And I do think apathy does play a role into that, because I mean, when you look at the modern gaming scene, and you look at just even modern entertainment in general, let's loop in Hollywood and television. There's just not a lot of good stuff coming out. I mean, I know, the Minecraft movies come out and people are like, "Oh, it's not that bad. It's a kids film, but you could turn your brain off and have a good time." Yeah, but I kind of want something a bit more. I don't want a film that's simple and short-minded. Hey, at the end of the day, if kids like it, kids like it. But when I think about the apathy part, it's what it feels like to me is just there's a lot of stuff coming out that I just don't really much care for, and it does make me seem to give off the vibe of being a self-righteous asshole, which I don't strive to be. I don't like being that kind of guy that's just like so pessimistic and negative about everything. But that apathy does, in relation to focus, it does make it hard to focus on things, because while everyone else is talking about, all this, the Minecraft movie that came out, or like the new Daredevil show, you think I would be happy about getting another season of Daredevil, but it's not the same as the Netflix, and I just don't find myself wanting to focus or hone in on these kind of new shows and products coming out, because I just don't care. Just again, apathetic. That's the worst thing that you can have, really. You just don't feel the need to care or want to do something. So that's at least what it relates to me. But moving on, I think it's even a lack of drive, a sense of meaning, and a lack of purpose. Because I guess right now, for me personally, I find myself, surviving for just me, because, like I said, I live alone. But, there's always got to be a reason for us to keep going forward. There's a lot of people, they lose purpose or sight in life, and they strive and try to find something to, replace that void in their heart, or replace that purpose that was once accomplished. Because, finding purpose in life is an ongoing battle. It's, you find one thing that gives you purpose, and then another thing that gives you purpose. You just keep going, rinse and repeat. It's why it's better to find a job that gives you joy, not happiness. As I've said in one of my previous videos, happiness is a temporary emotion. Joy is a much longer lasting one. It gives you a reason to wake up in the morning. Get you to do something. That is an idea of purpose, and also can fuel drive. It may even improve focus as well when it comes to the apathetic side. But that's a whole complicated can of worms right there in and of itself. So, regardless, just trying to tie it all back together because I feel like I've been kind of, sort of rambling for a bit. But I guess the underlying question is how do you stay on the path and keep going forward? Like, how do you, aside from that solution I stated about, finding joy in your life, how else can you stay on the path and keep going forward? For me, at least, and I'll definitely start incorporating this in my life, is, writing a list down. Start with the stuff that's the most important that you need to get done as soon as possible. And then, slowly put the not so important stuff. But I also think, say you want to get through a book or you want to get through a game. Sometimes it just comes down to just planting your butt down and just powering on through. And I know it's kind of a hard thing to hear because it's like, well, how do I do that? It's just willpower, really. I think it's willpower. At least that's how, again, I look at it. And I think lots of other people look at it too. You just got to reach into that part inside of you and just dig out the will to accomplish something. And sometimes it has to be in small bites, slowly but surely get yourself on the path. Kind of like how, again, even relating to my own life. I know I don't mean to make this all about me, but it's easy, at least for me, to kind of relate to that aspect. But, let's go a step further and maybe talk about someone else. Say somebody else is having a hard time trying to start working out. It could be one of the biggest leaps in life is just wanting to plant your butt down and work out. And, there are workout plans you can get that kind of just get you on the path, just to get you kind of conditioned into starting. And, slowly but surely put you on the path to eventually it becoming a habit and eventually giving you fulfillment to sort of make you feel like incomplete whenever you don't get a chance to work out. That kind of logic. But I also think, just to throw in one more helpful tip and advice, is find a friend that can help you stay accountable, help you to keep achieving those sort of goals, or, those little, in the case of the working out example, keep you on that path to keep working out over and over. And it can always be hard to find friends like that. In this day and age, it is hard to make friends. But if you have that option and opportunity, find yourself a friend to help you stay on that path to, grind it out, as they say in the Sigma community or the Alpha community or whatever community you want to call it. Got to stay on the path, keep going forward, grind it out, work hard, and don't let anything deter you. So, anyway, I think that's all I really have to say in this video. Just at least ways to help stay focused and stay on the path. I definitely am still working on it myself. But hey, we're all human. We're all on this planet here to learn and keep going forward and keeping true to ourselves. So, anyway, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to know when I upload, because we are still on the path to 150 subscribers. And as I'm recording this video, we are at 146. We've had an interesting jump because my last video I posted hasn't gained the traction that I was sort of hoping for. But hey, the day is still young, or rather the week is still young, because my previous video before that one, the Why is Life Feeling Like a South Park episode, the algorithm seems to have picked that video up, and it is right now at 344 views. So, and it just keeps climbing. I've been having a lot of people commenting on that. So, very interesting. So who knows, maybe my experience with World at War video will pick up again and follow a similar path too. Because even the last one I did too, the first one I did for COD 4, it definitely has gained some good traction there as well, but not nearly as much as the Why is Life Feeling Like a South Park episode. But anyway, that's just some stuff I'm noticing, taking it day by day, seeing what videos are coming up in the algorithm more and more, and seeing what people click on sooner. I mean, I still want to have a variety of videos, as always, but, just a little insight there. So, anyways, I'll see you guys Thursday for another video. Take care out there.